Cystic Fibrosis by Morgan Stiles, Mackenzie Allred, and Samantha Gaidula. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disorder caused by a mutation in the cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator, CFTR, which controls the flow of salt and fluids in and out of cells. The defect is found on the CFTR gene on chromosome 7, shown highlighted in red here. It is an autosomal recessive trait, meaning that you can be a carrier of the disease and still not be affected by it. There are approximately 27 million carriers in the United States, around 8.5% of the overall population. In order to have cystic fibrosis, you must receive the affected allele from both parents, not just one. As seen in this diagram, if both parents are carriers of the gene, there is a 25% chance of inheriting the disease for all children. The blue chromosome represents a normal CFTR gene on chromosome 7, and the red represents a defective CFTR gene. Therefore, there is a 50% chance of inheriting one of the affected alleles from each parent. Hence, the leftmost child received 2 blue, normal genes, the middle children received 1 normal and 1 affected gene, and the rightmost child received 2 affected genes. Therefore, the right child is the only one with cystic fibrosis, as indicated with a star. There are over 1,700 different mutations of the CFTR gene that can cause cystic fibrosis. Over the years, scientists have classified the group mutations into 5 different classes: protein production mutations, class 1, protein processing mutations, class 2, gating mutations, class 3, conduction mutations, class 4, and insufficient protein mutations, class 5. The most common mutation is a processing mutation known as F508del, which removes an amino acid from the CFTR protein, also known as a deletion. The deletion of the amino acid results in the incorrect shape of the protein, in which the cell recognizes and removes the protein. The cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator is a channel protein that facilitates the diffusion of chloride ions, as well as helping the channels that facilitate diffusion of sodium ions. When the CFTR protein is removed from the cell membrane, it becomes harder for chloride and sodium ions to move in and out of the cell. Transport of said ions helps the transport of water, as they have a negative charge that attracts water, which loosens the mucus and allows it to freely move. This causes the mucus to become thick and line the cells, trapping viruses and molecules within it, as well as blocking various structures throughout the body. When the mucus builds up too much, it begins to obstruct major structures, namely the lungs and pancreas. When the lungs are blocked, breathing becomes difficult and there is less surface area in the airway, preventing air from reaching the lungs. Because of this, many people affected by cystic fibrosis use a nebulizer to inhale liquid medicines or wear an inflatable vest that vibrates, shaking the abdomen and loosening up any mucus in the airway. The pancreas is also majorly affected by mucus, as it blocks the ducts that release insulin into the bloodstream. Insulin triggers a response in the cell to create more glucose transporters through a cell signal transduction pathway. There are 3 stages of a signal transduction pathway: reception, transduction, and response. Reception is the process in which a target cell bonds with a signaling molecule and detects the initial signal from a cell. This triggers transduction, in which more molecules throughout the cell change, typically in shape and formation. Finally, the cell responds to the initial signal accordingly, based off the signals from the transduction. However, in a person with cystic fibrosis, the insulin is never received, thus the signal transduction pathway is never initiated. Because the pathway is never initiated, more transporters do not rise to the membrane, meaning there are very few glucose transporters. This traps glucose in the bloodstream, as shown in the diagram on the right, as opposed to the other diagram where there is less glucose in the bloodstream. Pancreatic enzyme supplement, which increases the absorption of nutrients in the digestive system, are often prescribed to patients. Symptoms of cystic fibrosis can range between those affected and age, but the most common are coughs characterized by mucus, lung infection, fatigue, malnutrition, diabetes, and constipation. Additionally, those affected experience shortness of breath, a stuffy nose, greasy stools, delayed development, salty skin, and a burning in the chest. In the U.S., there is a law requiring babies to be screened for CF before leaving the hospital in order to catch the disease early. That's all we have for today, and thanks for watching. Here's our works cited.